Hello and welcome to AfterShark. I'm Jason Cochran here at walletpop.com in AOL's offices in New York City. We're sitting here with Daymond John, one of the sharks. How you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure.
So, here's what I want to know about you. You have a story a lot like the entrepreneurs who come before you each and every episode. How did you begin? How did it all start for you?
It started in the streets of Queens. I was making hats, tie top hats. And I was selling those because I couldn't find any place to buy those. So I was selling about $20 a piece, and people started to like this product. And then I created the name FUBU, which was for us, by us. And I was frustrated because a lot of the designers would never admit that they sold the product to the hip-hop market, to our generation. And what I did was I took about 10 shirts. And at that time, videos were really starting to become the thing in the market. Sure. And I took those 10 shirts, and for 3 years, I would take that shirt and go put it on a wrapper, and then put it on another wrapper, take it back, put it on another wrapper, take it back, go on a date with it, take it back, dry clean it, and I put it on a bunch of videos. About 3 years later, when I was working in Red Lobster, people would come up to me and say, "Wow, you're the FUBU guy. That company's huge."
You work at Red Lobster, and
I was working at Red Lobster. I was starting to get interviews. On these famous people. Sure, I was starting to get interviews, right? And then these 10 shirts were in 30 videos. It was this huge company as far as everybody was concerned, but it was only 10 shirts.
How did you get these celebrities if they didn't know who you were?
Well, I was lucky enough to grow up in Hollis, Queens, and people like the famous video director Hype Williams lived there, and Irv Gotti, and a lot of us went on tours because LL Cool J and Run DMC were from there. So we would go and push the boxes and be roadies on the tours. So we started being very familiar with the rappers at that point, and that's how I kind of knew where the videos are being shot.
So you seem like you have a real emotional story to how this all began. You really did struggle in the beginning to make it all happen. 3 years.
Oh, that was just the beginning of it. That was 3 years there, and then I mortgaged my house that I lived in with my mother. I took all the furniture out in the yard and burned it, and brought sewing machines in, and had a factory, a commercial factory in the middle of a residential area. Probably was about 3 weeks prior to losing the home and everything else before I ended up getting a distribution deal. It's a great roller coaster story, but I love it.
Did a shark of some kind come into your life to make it possible to get that deal?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So did you have to go in and make the pitches that now you're seeing every week?
You know what? I would have failed if I was on the show, because I got turned down by about 27 banks. And then I put an order in, I put an ad in the New York Times, and it said something like $1 million in financing, need orders and cash. About 30 people called me to give me the money, but about 29 of them were mobsters. They were giving me deals I couldn't take.
But some people get desperate enough that they're willing to do it, and I've seen people come before you and the other sharks and make deals they probably shouldn't because they're just so hungry for the money.
I would absolutely need 51%.
51%.
I think that I have a lot of money sitting in front of you. That is $250,000.
I know.
And my offer is off the table then, if I cannot get controlling. Of course, I'm going to say they should have made those deals, because a lot of people don't understand what comes with money and the knowledge that myself as well as the other 4 sharks have. So it may look like they shouldn't have made those deals, but I really do think they should have made those deals.
Well, the product wouldn't be anywhere if they hadn't made the deals.
Correct.
But at the same time, they may lose control of their idea or their company.
Sometimes a lot of those people need to lose control, because they're too close to the product, and they're too close to what they have, and they don't make the right decisions. And if you end up doing a deal with somebody like a shark, we are all about creating wealth. And in the steps of creating wealth, we will get you exactly what you want.
Well, at times it doesn't seem so much like an investing show, but like an acquisition show. Sometimes you guys come away with everything, and the people who bring in the idea sort of just get a little piece of it by the end. Yeah, but a little piece of, what I'm going to say, a little piece of $1 billion is way better than a whole piece of nothing. Yeah. Now, if you said you probably wouldn't have done so well yourself if you were pitching. Does that give you sort of an emotional connection with some of the people who come in? I remember the first episode with Mr. Todd. You seemed like you were really moved by his pie business. And then what he'd gone through to get there.
A lot of the people I'm emotionally connected to, because maybe I'm a little jaded by the 20 years that I've been doing this, but I see the excitement in them about their products and their brands and their business, and I want to live that excitement again a lot of times. So, you look at the show and a lot of people say that I'm mean or whatever the case is, and we're exploiting these young entrepreneurs, and in a financial time like this, how can you dangle money in people's faces? But myself as well as the other sharks, as well as you and probably everybody in this room, we've all lost 30 to 40% of what we have. So in my stock portfolio, I look at it, it's depleted. My real estate, I look at it, it's depleted. Everything is depleted. At this time in all our lives, we're more likely to go, no, you know what, let me concentrate on my business. I'm not going to have the headaches of somebody else's stuff, no matter how much money you have.
Yeah.
But it's not. That's the opposite. I'm investing in America. And I don't want to sit here and act like I'm, you know, the God and everything is great. I want to make a profit.
From you.
Right. I want to make a profit, but at the end of the day, you know, it's hard for all of us out here.
Well, you know, when you started FUBU, you were able to get a $100,000 mortgage.
Yes.
Nowadays, I don't think people can even get that out of the bank.
You cannot get that from the bank at all.
So really, I mean, I've had entrepreneurs from this show tell me that without the sharks, they really would have gone out of business in a few weeks or months anyway.
And yeah, and that's true. And, you know, even though we give them the cash, I give a lot of these people the ability to manufacture. You know, somebody else, the bank comes in and gives you $100,000 for your product. What if you get an order for $10 million worth of that product to come in? Now, how are you going to raise the $10 million to make it?
Yeah, right. Now, by the way, there was a guy on the show a couple weeks ago. He started a company called Crooked Jaw, clothing company. He told me in our interview, or at least afterwards, that you took him aside after the show to give him a little counseling. What kind of things do you say to people who were sort of in the position that you were in 20 years ago?
I give them my real advice, and you know, in the Shark Tank, you're being bombarded with questions and things from 5 other people, as well as we're fighting each other. So I don't have any time to give him the advice that he needs, and then me shunning him away, he feels like, you know, I'm lost and I'm dead. But then I go to the side and say, well, listen, you know what? This is just your first time, you know, on something like this, and I'm telling you how to improve it, you know?
Well, he seemed to really appreciate it. It's interesting. You're sort of two people on the show. You're the hard-nosed investor, but also you can be kind of soft on these guys as well. You have a soft spot.
Well, you got to remember, we don't see the packages. We know nothing about the people before they come on. Literally, the producer walks up to him and says, this is his name, and he has a good idea. And then they run off, and the guy comes on.
Well, it's good to know it's not staged.
No, it's not staged in any sense. This is really, really our money, and everything you see is real. The only thing you don't see is that some of those negotiations take an hour, hour and a half, and they have to chop it down. But we're beating up that guy for 10 times longer than you see on the show. But I don't see those packages, and then I go and see the show aired. I see this guy living in Long Island with his mom. I see all that stuff, and that really hit home because that was very similar to me. And then they chop it up, and all you see is me just saying, no, no, you know, there's 10,000 guys like you, and I just feel horrible. But at the end of the day, that was our real interaction.
Right. So there you have it. He's not such a bad guy, but he can make your dreams come true. Watch Shark Tank every Sunday night on ABC at 9 o'clock Eastern. This is Daymond John. I'm Jason Cochran from WalletPop.com.